I wouldn't pay too much. I wouldn't pay too much heed. I don't think it's worth the tape on which it's being filmed by the propaganda channels. Thank you. Irina Vereshchuk stated the need for the total evacuation of the population from the Donbass. We've heard that there will also be evacuations from the Zaporizhia Oblast. Are there plans to join this evacuation, because there's a high number of villages in the Kherson region? Um, they are in a very dire humanitarian situation. Look, the territory of the entire oblast is in a critical situation, critical state, because starting from the very beginning of the occupation, but whereas previously we had some groceries and products and medications, now we're simply critically low. And Irina Vereshchuk has many times, and myself, called on our citizens to leave the temporarily occupied territories if they can prior to its liberation, because it's dangerous it's dangerous to their lives. Uh, Perhaps by any means possible. You know that there's massive pressure on our educational workers, on our school workers, teachers who have remained in the occupied territories, and the orcs are trying to start the school year according to their curricula. So our teachers are being threatened. The parents are being threatened with school-age children. So I think in order to defend yourself, I also recommend evacuation to safer territories prior to liberation. As far as Ukrainians are concerned, Ukrainians who live close to the contact line, or Ukrainians from the deoccupied villages, these villages are often destroyed. It's not unclear how to bring in gas, how to supply power. What are the problems you're facing, and what is the strategy about these villages? Well, the 46 localities in Kherson have been deoccupied, primarily the north of the oblast, the border with the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, and a little bit from the south, the border with the Mykolaiv Oblast. Yes, there are villages that are practically destroyed, 90%. So I have personally visited those villages. The problem is that they really are constantly being shelled. The majority of the population has left, of course, but in some localities there still are people. So these are destroyed electric networks, gas and water. It's very difficult to repair under shelling, but we do the best we can. Um, the water supply, generators, and everyday people risking their lives. But the best we can do is restore. We restore whatever we can, but it's taking its time, and it's very dangerous. How do you assess the moods? What's the mood like in the occupied territories? Do people keep believing that the armed forces will return soon, or are they starting to accept their fate? I will say that people in the temporarily occupied territories are awaiting the return of the armed forces of Ukraine. The small number of traitors are not representative of the entire population of our Kherson Oblast. It's not even 1%. It's just individual instances saying something. As one of the recent people said, our joy is unity with the Russians, but people don't heed them. People listen to the state of Ukraine and to the armed forces, and they await the return of the armed forces and the liberation. They were and remain patriots of their country. I think when things were only starting, when this temporary occupation was only starting, you saw the massive rallies of people coming out with Ukrainian flags and telling the Russians where they can go. We too await the liberation of the Ukrainian territory. Thank you very much. With us was Dmytro Butriy, acting head of the Kherson Oblast military administration, to discuss the situation in the Kherson Oblast. We will return tomorrow. See you